call me young lady again, and I'm going to put my foot in a place it's not supposed to be. Here's your look at the Diamond Select. This is the Captain Marvel Premier Collection Resin Statue. Ace Air Force pilot Carol Danvers becomes one of the universe's most powerful heroes when Earth is caught in the middle of a galactic war between two alien races. Set in the 1990s, Marvel's Captain Marvel is an all-new adventure from a previously unseen period of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This approximately 10-inch tall resin statue of Captain Marvel is based on her appearance in Marvel's Captain Marvel and features a high level of detail and exacting paint applications. It's limited to 3,000 pieces and includes a numbered certificate of authenticity. Before getting a closer look at the Premier Collection Captain Marvel Resin Statue, that's a mouthful, we're going to first figure out how tall the statue stands. I'd also like to send out a thank you to the folks over at Diamond Select who were nice enough to send this sample my way. If you guys are interested in picking this one up for yourself, she's going to be in a little bit more of a limited quantity, so good luck and happy hunting. According to my trusty tape measure, you're looking at the statue standing 10.2 inches in height. And that in centimeters works out to be 26 centimeters exactly. Why I say she's also a little harder to come by is also the fact that she is a resin piece. Not a lot of comic book stores stock Premier Collection statues, but if you are interested in picking this one up and adding it to your collection, most comic book stores are also more than happy to order these ones in for you, should, like I said, you want to add this one to your collection. To come included and blocking the statue in front of you, you can see that she does come included with a certificate of authenticity indicating that the Premier Collection resin statue of Captain Marvel is out of a limited number release of 3,000 pieces worldwide. Why this one is also blank as well is because this is an artist proof sample. It doesn't actually fall within the confines of that 3,000 copy release. It's always nice that come included with these little certificate of authenticities. Especially for me, I like to display them behind the statues when I put them out on display. One thing I certainly want to advocate, though, when it comes to a piece like this, is where her foot is touching essentially is the only piece that's connecting to the base. So between the statue and the base is only by this part of her foot. So I recommend not picking her up by the torso, as it's certainly going to cause a lot of damage right here. And instead, picking her up from the base, I'll just quickly, carefully tilt her upside down. You can see that she has been manufactured by Diamond Select Toys, made in China, with, again, that numbered sequence out of 3,000 pieces. She does also have 4 rubberized feet on each of the corners of the base to prevent any scratching on surfaces. Getting a look closely at some of the details done to a somewhat vacant, it's a pretty barren looking base, although it does have some interesting things going to it. While I say it's barren, it doesn't have like rubble or debris or anything like that. Instead, what we are getting depicted here is Carol Danvers running along the roadway. While I say it's not too busy in the way of what they've done to it, there's some real intricate little details that they've added to it. Like, for example, these 2 smashed cans. One in green, one in blue, whatever the beverage of choice was for whoever decided to leave this. Could have been several people that decided just to leave their cans and bottles astray to the side of the road. Pick up your bottles and your cans after you're drinking your beverage of choice. There's one smashed here. Like I said, there's a couple of little crushed cans and a whole pathway of pull tabs. Look how many there are. I wouldn't even want to count these. They're almost hidden amongst the same coloring as the driveway, the roadway here, and it almost leads a path. There's the rest of them. The additional cans and bottles somebody's thrown down the sewage drain. Don't do that. Throw your cans, your bottles into recycling bins or garbage bins at the very least. Don't throw that stuff down the sewer. But you can see some really interesting, clever details that they added there. I mean, they didn't really have to throw anything here. But again, it's interesting that you can kind of follow a story along the base, starting off here and making its way down to the sewer drain, where again, a whole lot of extra detail has been incorporated. Following our eyes up, we of course have Carol Danvers running along the roadway. And here we have the top of the statue, or the head sculpt of the statue. which is not bad at all, although I do feel like there's something throwing off the statue's head sculpt, and I think a lot of that is the eyes. The eyes are good, but I feel like they're either too high, too low, or they've been painted in such a way that it kind of looks like she's got glazed eyes. It's about the only thing that I find is throwing and off-putting for the sculpting of the statue, because the rest of it actually delivers a pretty strong sculpt of, like I said, Carol Danvers. I think she kind of works a little bit better slightly on a more of an angle than looking at her straight on. The coloring, actually, to be fair, is good. I mean, the coloring on the skin tone, the coloring on the hair, most importantly as well, the additional detail of adding that print image on the back of her aviator jacket looks exactly like it does in the film, so I can't find fault in that. It's got some additional coloring also in the aviator jacket with natural folds, wrinkles, and kind of the way that a jacket would naturally drape on a pose like this. We spin the statue around. We're treated to some really nice metallic blue, represented here with gold and some red. Accurate to, of course, the way that she is featured in the film. I mean, I like the coloring on it. If, again, it's not just maybe for the eyes that's throwing off this the head sculpt of this piece. Again, I think if you look at it from certain angles, like that angle actually looks really good. When you turn it slightly a little bit more this way, head straight on, I think it throws off slight distortions for looking like an accurate head sculpt of Brie Larson. But I think from like there, it's not too bad at all, actually. Now, in this pose, we can only gather that she's in a running pose, and it looks like she's about to draw a fist. I like that this one does have some action to it, as opposed to just having her in a museum pose. To the credit of Diamond Select, who of course now have taken over for Gentle Giant. One thing that has continued to be a case with both of their releases in the past is that they like to put a lot of actions in the poses of their statues. You can definitely give that to Carol here. She doesn't have just the straight out standing museum pose, which again would be fine for a figure like this, a statue like this. But I think by putting her in a bit of a more running pose, there's a little bit more excitement, and there's a whole lot more, I think, to draw your attention to this particular piece. And if you are interested in picking up a piece like this, quite literally and figuratively, I know I will again sound like a broken record, but you really do have to gauge the fact that all of the weight on this resin piece sits on the one small footprint of her shoe. So if you are picking this one up and looking to add this to your shelf, I would recommend, if you're going to do that, put some weight, put your hand underneath the base, for example, and then pick it up by the torso, or at the very least, pick it up by the base. Because again, one thing that has to be factored in for a piece like this is there are the gallery statues, of course, which Diamond Select are also quite faithfully recreating these beautiful looking statues in. But those are also produced by PVC plastic. So you have a little bit of extra give. They're not going to be as heavy to pick up. Resin, on the other hand, is not only fragile, but it is also heavier. So when, again, you're picking a piece like this, be very, very careful. I know I sound like a broken record. Be very careful, though, when you are picking it up, that you're not going to inadvertently break off that one foot, the lone thing that's connecting the base to the rest of this nice-looking figure of Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was really a Marvel film that divided fans in half, with one half really either liking the movie and thought it was enjoyable, with the other half not so much, thinking the movie was abysmal or didn't even need to exist at all. You can't see me, I'm putting up my hand actually for the latter. Okay, that's being a little cruel, but Captain Marvel for me was just an okay film. I don't feel in any way the Marvel Studios was reinventing the wheel when they came out with this release, and it only successfully did well in theaters, if you ask me, simply because it was another train cart on its way to Endgame. With this movie being the thing just before Endgame, of course financially it would do well, surpassing $1 billion, but I don't think it felt and looked like a $1 billion movie. At least that's my opinion. Whether you like or dislike Captain Marvel, this is a nice release from the folks over at Diamond Select. At least to the credit of the statue, there's a little bit more interesting stuff going on. She's actually doing something, unlike what she actually did in Endgame. It's a bit of a joke. But this one does have a little bit of extra energy going for her. I like the fact that she's running down the roadway. The sculpting of the piece is nice. The paint and the metallic, making use of the metallic blue and the red is also a nice touch. I think the statue is good up to the eyes. There's something that throws the statue sculpt, I think, in the eyes, where I don't think it's quite the likeness to Brie. Maybe, again, it's just those eyes. but the rest of the statue comes together nicely. And again, the nice thing about the Diamond Select releases is they generally put energetic action poses in a lot of their statues. Whether you go the flair of the gallery releases in PVC plastic, or you want to go with the upgraded extra spicy resin pieces, you're always going to get a lot of action and excitement in the poses that they put in these pieces. What do you guys think of this statue? Let me know down below in the comments section. And again, if you guys are interested in picking this one up for yourself, not all comic book stores, and I speak from example, actually stock resin pieces in stock. It's just for the fact that they don't want a lot of times order in something that may eventually just sit on the shelf. So if you are interested in picking this one for yourself, do the thing that I usually do when I want to pick up a resin piece. Check with your local comic book stores, and at the very least, see if they can order it in. It might take maybe a couple of weeks or so for it to finally arrive, but if you are in the market to add Captain Marvel for yourself, as I said, check your local comic book stores. Today we were having a look at the Diamond Select. This was the Captain Marvel Premier Collection resin statue. Again, a big thank you to the folks over at Diamond Select who were nice enough to send this sample my way. She should be available now in local comic book stores, or, like I said, you can also order her in at your local comic book stores. If you guys are new to this channel, you can certainly hit that subscribe button down below. Do yourself a service. Of course, if you're digging this guy's content and want to see more regular content hitting this channel, make sure as well you hit that bell notification and keep your peepers peeled, because there's going to be a whole lot of Diamond Select statue reviews coming soon. So stay tuned for those. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.